All right. So, like I said, recipe costing is really the kind of essence of this presentation today, and how we can link invoices to recipes, right? We have the ability in Meez to add costs one at a time. That's very, very simple and really straightforward and a great tool. But we also have this really wonderful tool called the new purchase item table. And the whole point of that is it's the ability to batch upload recipes, or sorry, batch upload ingredients with costs associated with it, so that you can quickly link from that data into your recipes. So it's kind of a, more of a, you're doing it from a spreadsheet or doing it through one of our, an invoice processing service or an inventory management service. So for many Meez users, really, these are disconnected in the beginning. And for a lot of programs, it's disconnected. Your recipes kind of live in this binder or this kind of offline world, disconnected from your invoices. And what we can do for you here in Meez is using this purchase item table, which a lot of you probably have seen before, but may not really have total, clarity about what it's for, is just have a place for your invoices to land so that you can connect it to your ingredients. It's a really super helpful place to work in. I kind of think of it as almost like the receiving center, right? Your truck comes in with your produce for the day. You check it in off the truck before it heads to the walk-in. The purchase item table is a lot like that. You upload ingredients with costs, and in there you're able to correct stuff. You're able to link it to your ingredients. You're able to change pack sizes. You're able to delete stuff you don't want. So it's a really valuable tool, almost as kind of like this, like I said, this loading area for your costs. So with that ability, you can get some more up-to-date costs, because you can more easily get information into Meez on a kind of batch level, which allows you, of course, to make better business decisions with your recipes, and also saves you a lot of time having to go one by one, against your invoices sitting in a folder. You can get them into Meez and kind of quickly move stuff around. So how do items appear in the purchase item table? Well, there's 3 ways to do it. Upload with a spreadsheet, which is part of the app. It's every premium user and business user has the ability to import import ingredients with a spreadsheet. So there's no added cost to doing that. The other 2, linking your inventory management system and linking with the Meez invoice processing service. Both of those are add-ons. We do have the ability to link to a number of inventory management systems, including Compete and Restaurant 365, Margin Edge, and a variety of others. So you can feel free to inquire if you have any questions about that, but that is available as well as an add-on. And then we also have an invoice processing service as well, which is, even has an even more robust set of features. I'm not going to go too deep into those specifically, because what I want to do is really discuss how the purchase item table really functions. So I'm now in my account, and you can see this is going to be very familiar to folks. You have my recipes over here on the left, my ingredients, recipe books, docs, and the new purchase item table. This purchase item table, by the way, is available to account owners, as well as those who have manager access. So there are going to be editors on your account or viewers without manager access. They're not going to see this little button here. They're not going to be able to see the new purchase item table or cost any ingredients. But owners of the account and managers can. All right, so why do items land here? Well, there's 3 reasons that they can land here. The first one is that it's missing a link to one of your ingredients. So that means that this ingredient field, see this column right here, it's in red. Meez doesn't know what ingredient this purchase item belongs to. And I want to pause there for a second, because this is where a lot of people get tripped up. This item from your distributor, pickle, dill, chips, crinkle cut, this is not an ingredient from the Meez perspective. It is a purchase item. It's something you're buying from a distributor, and it needs to be linked here to an ingredient in Meez. So you think of your ingredients as this list here, right? Your 102, or in my case, but you might have more or less. These are my ingredients. So the purchase item table is kind of taking stuff, like I said, off of the truck and mapping it, connecting it to your ingredients. And to do that, you just need to search right in here the database. So in this case, pretty straightforward. Start typing in pickle. You can see there a bunch of different pickle options show up. Maybe I'll get a little more specific, pickle chips. And there we go. I see an option right there for pickle chips. And you can see that it has a little green apple. And in case folks don't know, the green apple means it's already in my meez account, meaning look at my 102 ingredients here. See the little green apple next to it? It's already being used in my account. It's probably in a recipe already. So I would want to pick that one first. If I can't find one that has a green apple, I can always choose from the meez database of ingredients, these ones with the meez logo. So those are all database ingredients you can pull from, grab them, and take them into your account. And once you click them, then they actually become green apple icons. So they'll get added to your list. So you'll all have 103 instead of 102. And then from there, I can kind of add costs and use in recipes and whatever. Now, what if I go back and a little bit more, if I don't see one that has a green apple icon and I don't see one that has a meez logo that I want to pick, I always have the option to click create new ingredient. See that there? Create new ingredient will just create a brand new ingredient in your account. But keep in mind, it's an ingredient that we haven't touched before. It's not in a database. So it's not going to have any allergen tags. It's not going to have any conversions. It's not going to have any of that good stuff, prep actions, the stuff that we have in our database that's really makes using meez so much easier. So just keep that in mind. If you pick a specific new ingredient that is, kind of onion that, only you have access to, make sure, you go into the allergens area and tag it as an allium, just so make sure, you're crossing all your T's and dotting your I's there. So real quick, what I'll do is just type in pickled chips. Select the green apple, and there we go. I am now mapped to my pickle chips. You can see it now, it's no longer in red, it's in black, just like the hamburger bun up here. But you notice it didn't go away. There's one more thing I need to do. And this over here is the second reason why something will appear in the new purchase item table. And it's the fact that the case size is undefined, meaning it just says case. Notice how eggs by the dozen comes in as $1.82 for the dozen. We know that there's 12 in a dozen, so that's defined. But anything in red here means we don't know what it is exactly. We don't know the volume or the weight or the count. And that's not going to really help us in costing our recipes. We want to be able to know exactly what is in that case. And this is a problem with a lot of vendors. They just say case and they leave it up to you, or bushel, and they leave it up to you to figure it out. But in order to cost your recipes, you really need those definitions in there. So that's why it turns red here. So for instance, I might say this is a 5-gallon bucket, right? Something like that, or half gallon, or whatever it might be. Let's say I do want to say 5-gallon. This actually brings up a really great best practice. If I type in 5-gallon, unfortunately, that's not in the system at the moment. We are constantly updating these system purchase units, but it's not there at the moment. What do I do? Well, there's a link right here. It says add a new unit. So what you want to actually do in this case is define this pickle chip purchase item at this cost from Chef's Warehouse. As you can see here is from the invoice from the vendor there, and just click add a new unit. And now what we're doing is just telling meez, just kind of imagine that this is meez as the computer. It needs to just be told what to do a little bit and just tell it that's a 5-gallon. There we go. And now it gets mapped and it's gone. And what's really cool is that the next time we see pickle chips from Chef's Warehouse, we will remember this information. This is already locked into pickle chips on this account, which means that the next time we see it, this item ID number from Chef's Warehouse, it'll automatically update the cost right here. And it means that every recipe that uses this, if you notice here, recipes on, they're my 2 recipes that it lives on. Those costs, the cost of those recipes will update automatically as well. So you can see how powerful this tool can be as you start getting the mapping done in the beginning and you're buying the same product over and over again. You don't have to keep going in and changing every ingredient you get in there. You just have to, scan it in and it'll get uploaded automatically. By the way, there's a little icon right here, this little image icon. It lives right in this ingredient page for every ingredient, and also, you can see it on the new purchase item table as well. See how there's one next to each of these. It actually will be a view of your invoice. So you can see the invoice itself right here, because this would be if you were part of the invoice processing add-on, you're able to see the invoice right from there, which is really cool. Now, one kind of caveat to this is that sometimes you're buying in items like a hamburger bun, for instance. Maybe it's coming out of my inventory system, and I got it coming in as 0.79 each, right? Because in my inventory system, I have them broken down by the cost per unit. Meez will flag this because technically an each is undefined. We don't know whether that means an each of a case of 20 pounds or an each of 96 buns or whatever it might be. So we flag it. And if you click on each just to correct it, there is an option at the bottom here, just like it said add a pack size before. Now there's one that says confirm the pack size of this unit is 1 each. And that's what I would want to do in this case, because I am indeed buying this by the each, right? 79 cents. So the cost is right. And I'm actually using it by the each too. In my recipes, I will use it as 1 each hamburger bun for my burger plate. So we give you that option too, just to confirm that the pack size is 1 each. And so I would click that and say, yep, you're good. It's an each. You can move on. All right. So that is the core of using this new purchase item. It's to map unmapped purchase items to ingredients. So again, in this case, egg. We'll just type, typing in egg, and there's my option for eggs. Or confirming a case size, like for this French fries. I wouldn't want to just call it a case because that's not gonna really help me. I'd like to say it's 2 5-pound bags or something like that. There is the added bonus of, when you're scanning in invoices or you're uploading spreadsheets, you might have a lot of items that are not really relevant to recipes, for instance, parchment paper or film wrap or vinyl gloves or any of this kind of stuff. You can just select those on the left-hand side, the little check boxes here, and just delete them right from here. Now, if you have a spreadsheet that you're working off of or you're sending in invoices where these parchment paper and the film wrap will come back again in a future invoice, what I might suggest you do instead is this other option here, delete and don't import again. And this is going to be really valuable because it will just block it at the door. It won't affect any of your inventory systems or your scanning of invoices. It's not going to mess with any of that. It's just going to, Meez will just remember that this item from this vendor, we don't want to see it in the new purchase item table, so it'll block it there. So a little bit of that upfront work will be kind of clicking these, check boxes down here and selecting, delete and don't import again. Now, there is also a third reason why an item might land here. So this is for folks who've already gone through one round of mapping. They've mapped star anise, they've mapped their pumpkin puree, they buy those items again. And what can happen sometimes is, I'm going to pop over to my screen here. I'm now going into my, oops, that's not what I want to do. What can happen is it might look something like this. So in this case, you can see my strawberries, I've already mapped to strawberries. There's a 8-pound case, and you'll see something in red here. So instead of the case size being in red, and instead of the ingredient field being in red, it's now the price that's in red. So this is the third reason why it might show up here. And the reason is there is a change to the cost that was drastic enough, meaning it's went up by 2 times or it went down by half, that we decided to flag it. And the reason we flagged it is really because more often than not, it's a pack size change, but the ID number on the invoice didn't change. So instead of them sending you 4, 1 gallon containers of vinegar, they just sent 1, right? So the cost is 1/4 of it, but the pack size or the ID number didn't change. Happens very frequently. And so what we do is we flag it and we say, last time we saw this, the unit was this price. And so we have to give you that information right there, $4.85 a pound. And now we're seeing it at this price, at this pack size. Tell us what you want us to do. And so you have the opportunity to change the purchase unit to whatever it needs to be, if it needs to be by the pound or by the 10-pound or whatever it might be. Or you can just go ahead and approve the change, being like, yep, that's right. The pack size is right. We're good. So it's just one of those other added kind of like features just to make sure you have eyes on what's happening with your invoices and give you kind of, warnings as they go. One other really quick thing that's very, very helpful about the new purchase item table, especially if you're coming from an inventory platform. So this happens with a lot of inventory systems. You have to manage those, obviously, also make sure the purchase items are correct there before they come into meez, because the data in, it's only as good as the data in those systems. And something that happens a lot is these pack sizes or these case sizes, they will give you a really good alert to something that might be happening in those inventory systems. Like maybe someone didn't check in the case properly. They didn't define it properly. It was still defined by the pound when it should be by the 5 pound case. Stuff like that. It can really kind of show you there's some red flags happening in your inventory system. So another really helpful, kind of benefit to using this. Okay. So I went over a lot just now, and I really wanted to make sure I got through the big nuts and bolts of this so that I could open it up to questions, because usually there's a lot of questions around the new purchase item table. So please, anyone who has questions, feel free to jump in or to chat. I haven't seen any chats come in yet, as far as I can tell. No, so no chats coming in yet. But feel free to chat a question, or if you want to hop off mute and ask real quick, I can try to help you out in any way. But yeah, essentially, while I'm waiting for any chats coming through, just keep in mind that the new purchase item table is here for you for these 3 purposes: for when you want to upload a spreadsheet of costs into meez, or if you already use an inventory system, or you want to use our invoice processing system to just easily get your invoices from those systems into meez, so you can quickly map your costs and see beautiful recipes like, let's see, did I make a house? I made a house salad recipe really recently. And just to be able to see your recipe kind of like this, where you have your individual items, even your sub recipes, all costed out. And if I click on the Marcona almonds, I'll see right away where I'm getting them from, the cost of them, the pack size, and very quickly can see right in my recipe whether this is working, whether it's something, maybe I'm buying it from the wrong vendor, maybe the cost has gone up beyond what I need it to be. You can have this data really easily accessible right here, right from your recipes. So still no questions coming in. Take that as a good sign. But yeah, anybody have any issues? Anybody using the new purchase item table currently, and have any feedback about it? Great question. I have this on my list and I don't know why I didn't say it. All right, so question coming in: if you buy 2 different pickle chips from 2 different applications / recipes, how would you differentiate the price and style without creating a new ingredient? Meaning you want to use the same meez ingredient for both items. So this kind of brings up 2 questions, really. The first one, if you are using, let's say, pickle chips for one application, like your burger, and then another one, for a different sandwich, but it's important to have them differentiated in meez, then unfortunately you do want to create 2 ingredients. You want to have 2 kinds of pickle chips, and it's a really good idea to specify which one belongs to which. Now, your question about it, the reason being you want to use the conversions. Well, something that's really cool about adding ingredients into meez. So we go to our pickle chips, right? We go to the equivalency, and we want to use a meez database ingredient. Let's say I made a second pickle chip ingredient and it doesn't have the conversions. I can actually do a really interesting thing that not a lot of people know about. I can click edit here, and notice in my equivalency, I have this search bar right here. You can actually search the database for other conversions within the system. So you can create that second pickle chip ingredient, and then just locate the pickle chips conversion right here, pull that in from the database, and now it's saved. But you brought up another really important question, which is, what if I have pickle chips from 2 different suppliers, but I just want them to point to one ingredient? That's actually you can do that right in Meez. You can have multiple purchase items.
That red one, you mean? Is that
To,
what you're talking?
could everyone just mute
Red
for me,
one?
please?
Okay, yeah, sure can.
You can actually have multiple purchase items connected to one
Right.
ingredient.
Yes.
And that means that well, I gotta just mute everybody. Sorry.
Okay.
Could everyone just mute for me? I think that's Barb. You could actually have, like I was saying before, you can have multiple purchase items pointing to one ingredient, and then the next time you buy either one of those purchase items, it's just going to replace the cost of your ingredient with the most recent purchase. And what's really great about that, obviously, is that you can just see what you're spending that day on putting that plate out for your customers. All right. So I have one more question here. How do I troubleshoot an image icon that does not show my receipt or invoice? Looks like that's from Danny or Len. I'd have to check and see. I'll look into that specifically. I haven't seen too many instances of that. You're saying that this icon is being linked to the wrong invoice? That sounds like something I would need to look into. It's more specific to your account than anything. Yeah, I'll take a look at that, Danny, for you. Jay, sorry to hear that you're having trouble uploading the invoice. Do you mind telling me, was it from the plus new up here trying to upload your spreadsheet? So in case the folks don't know, when I was mentioning uploading a spreadsheet of costs, it's this plus new up here and clicking import. Yeah, he was doing the spreadsheet. Okay. When you do that next, we actually just updated this quite a bit. So folks who haven't seen it recently might have a different encounter here, but you can watch this step-by-step help walkthrough, and it can be really, really helpful to kind of assessing why something's not working. One of the biggest reasons why folks encounter difficulties with uploading their spreadsheet is that there's a column in your account or in that spreadsheet that is called location ID. And I want to make sure I just mention this before I get off today. The location ID, if you go to the top left, my screen here, and click concepts, everybody who has a business or premium account has a concept. And you'll notice that my concept has a location and my location has an ID. And a lot of yours it'll just be like a generic first location. But you can always change it to whatever you want. You can click edit location and change the ID. And you need to include that in your upload. That's really important because then it knows where to put the costs, where to attach them, what location to attach them to. Locations in Meez are essentially costing centers. So that's why we have an ID number there, or an ID that you can map to. One question about being a manager on your account but not having access to our invoices. So you mean you don't see the new purchase item table right here? Is that what I hear, sir? It might be that you just need to hit refresh, but you should see it for sure. Let me look into it for you offline. I can give you a quick shout right after this. But yeah, have you hit refresh recently? Was this a recent update, or were you have you been a manager for a while now? I'd have to look into that more specifically, but all managers should have access to this new purchase item table. One thing to also note, the only reason why you'll see stuff in the new purchase item table is that it needs attention. It needs to be mapped. It needs to have a case defined. It needs a price adjustment. If you have invoices coming through and they're all clean and they're going through perfectly, you're not going to see anything here. So it's only stuff that kind of needs your attention, which is why it'll be a bunch of stuff in the beginning. But as you start mapping stuff and getting stuff sorted, it'll be pushed right into your ingredients without you having to do anything. So the thing to remember is if you're ever worried, you're ever concerned, you're not seeing the cost coming through, just check your ingredient itself and take a look and see if that latest invoice that came through was recent, in which case it's working just fine. If it was a long time ago and you know you bought it, then maybe it's something to look into. Yeah, I'll definitely take a look at that for you to make sure, because yeah, all managers should have access to the new purchase timetable. So I'll take a look at that. One last thing to note, obviously, if you have any problems or questions, really encourage you to go to this top right, the little help guy here, the little question mark. We have a really great help desk that can help with any of these questions as they come up. So do not hesitate to reach out if you're encountering any issues. We really pride ourselves on being able to give you really good answers and help you get these recipes costed the way they need to be. We know how little time y'all have to do this kind of stuff. And so we really try to do our best to make it simple and to be quick with our responses. We're all industry people too, and we really want to make this tool work as much for you as possible. So all right, cool. Last couple minutes, so I just want to make sure anyone else last couple questions, but if not, feel free to reach out. Of course, many of you have my information. We'll be sending this recording and other information after the call as well. But yeah, if nothing else, thanks so much for joining. It's been a really pleasure. Look out for the next invite in for 2 weeks from today. We got a really good slew of webinars coming up. Hope to see you again. Thanks so much.